Hi, my name is Zoe Carter, and today I'm going to be doing my demonstration speech on how to propagate plants. So the first thing I'd like to start out with is, what is propagating? Propagating is basically taking a cutting from a mother plant, such as this one, which is what we're going to be doing today. And after we propagate off of it, we're going to put it in water and we're going to watch it grow. So I am going to kind of show y'all some of the ones that I already have, just so you can see that it works, because it's not an overnight thing. So the cutting we do today, I'm not going to be able to show you the process of it because it's going to take weeks for it to actually grow roots, but I'll show you some of the other ones that I've done. So I have this one, and as you can see, there's roots all in it. It's happy. There's no yellow. It does what it's supposed to do in there. I have a different plant, same thing, just roots. Another plant. So you can do it with just about any plant. Some of them are a little more finicky than others, but for the most part, if you cut it the right way and you keep an eye on the water, make sure the water is not dirty so that the roots don't rot, you should be okay. So first thing is this. I'm gonna take this over here, and as you can see, you know, it's very viney. It's got a lot of leaves on it. And if you can see these little points right here, those are our nodes. So that's where we're going to be cutting in between, because that's going to give us our best results as far as growing, because these nodes eventually turn into roots. And if this plant was in soil, like if these pieces were in soil in here, they would probably end up rooting. And so that's kind of how that works. So I did want to also say, as far as our materials go, we're going to have our pruning shears, or we're going to have scissors. You can do either or, but I have these. And then you're going to want a glass jar, and you're going to want to put some water in it. And then you're going to want some kind of plant that you have that has those nodes on it so we can cut off of it. So I'm going to get this plant, and I'm going to cut off of it. I've been meaning to for a while, because as you can see, it's pretty long. And I'm going to be giving this cutting to one of my friends because they've been asking for one. So we are going to find a node, and as you can see, there is one right there. And I'm going to cut about 1 inch below it, because that'll give it room to sit at the bottom without the whole plant going into the water. So I'm going to cut right here, and they always say cut at an angle too, because I'm not really sure why. I think it's an old wives' tale, but I do that anyways just because I want the best for the plants. So I'm gonna cut it off. And you have this here. And it even works even if you're unintentionally trying to propagate a plant. Let's say you have a cat like I do at home, and your cat tears up your plants, if you have plants, and it's torn up one of your plants and broken it off. You can probably end up sticking it in water anyways. And it'll do just fine. So I like to say, even though my cat has torn up so many of my plants, it has caused me to propagate a lot of plants. So it's, you know, there's give and take. But with this cutting, we are not gonna immediately stick it in water, because this end right here is gonna be wet. And if you stick it in too soon, then it could mean you could get root rot. And if you have root rot, that's a whole process. And I'll kind of speak on that more towards the end, but you only have to really leave it out for a minute. It doesn't take long for it to dry. If you wanted to, you could leave it out for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, hour. It doesn't really matter. But that's just kind of what I do. And so also what people do is they'll put cinnamon on the bottom of this little cut. They'll put super glue. I mean, plants people think are just these things that you can hurt so easily. It's not that bad. You just have to be able to cut things off of them and not really care. So that's what I've gotten to at this point. I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. So you're gonna take this, and a lot of people will tear off this last leaf. I always feel so bad for doing it. So if I have enough room at the bottom like I do, I'm just gonna put it all in there, because like I said, I hate tearing it off. And if it fits out the top, you're fine. The reason people do is because it can lead to root rot, but as long as it's not completely submerged in the water, you're gonna be okay. And a lot of people also cut off multiple pieces, so I am gonna cut another piece off as well. It doesn't really matter what piece you cut as long as you're cutting 1 inch below that node. So I have this piece right here, and I'm gonna cut, oh, let me show y'all the node. There's that node right there. It's just a little, like little thing sticking up, and that's essentially where your roots are gonna come from. So I'm gonna cut 1 inch. Let me see, that's about 1 inch. I'm gonna leave it out for a second. And I'm gonna kind of talk about root rot while I'm leaving that out. So root rot is essentially, there's something in the water or something on the plant that ended up rotting, or your plant can produce this, like the stuff out of the stem that I was talking about. It can produce this slimy texture that almost kind of makes the water really murky and messes with the roots on the plant, which causes it to have root rot. And I'm trying to see if any of mine have root rot so I can kind of show you. I kind of went through recently and did a big like cutting on the roots in here. And again, you can do anything to a plant just about. It's going to be okay. You could drop it and you could always save it. So you just have to be able to be like, all right, I dropped it. I can do something with that. I can propagate it. It's fine. So I'm going to stick this piece in, and I've got these 2 cuttings here. It's really cute. I like to keep mine in water. A lot of people move them into soil. And the way you go about doing that is you let the roots establish. So this right here could definitely go in soil and it would be fine. I just really like how it looks in this, so I'm not moving it. But you take it out, and I will take this one out so y'all can kind of see what the roots are looking like in here. And I've had this for probably close to a year now, maybe a year. And those are all the roots right there. And you could stick it in soil. You just have to be very mindful of how much water you're putting in there, because these plants that are growing in water are so used to so much moisture that if it didn't have enough moisture in the soil, it'll end up dying. So you just got to be very mindful if you're going to move it to soil or another medium. But I, as I said, like to keep mine in water. But to conclude this, we are using our shears, our scissors, whatever cutting object you have. You can use a knife, it doesn't really matter. You use a jar, and this jar is bought just for plants, but if you want to see here, this was a vase, and then this, a little jar that I had or that I bought. And then I work at Olive Garden, so we sell beer and stuff. So sometimes I'll take the beer bottles, clean them off, and that's what I did with this one. And I have another liquor bottle here that I turn into a propagation system. So you can do it with anything. You don't have to spend money. You literally probably have all of these items in your house. You can use a glass cup if you have it. You can use a plastic cup. It doesn't have to be glass. So it's really easy, really affordable. And it's a very cheap option if you have plants in your home and you're wanting to expand and you just don't want to spend the money on it. So it's really great. I love it. It's awesome. It's my favorite thing to do. I have so many friends that are like, hey, so when you cut off your next plant, you want to give me some? So it's very nice, and I love it. So I highly recommend, and if you ever want to get into plants, this is a good way to kind of start out and learn before you start getting more and more plants. So, but that is it for us today. In the peer reviews, if you have any questions, let me know. This is by far probably one of my favorite speeches because I love plants, as I've said before. So thank y'all so much. Y'all, please try this at home, and thank you.